Okay, and how long were you a Mason for?
9 years.
And how high up did you go?
Well, I went through the typical Blue Lodge degrees, went through York Rite all the way up to the Knights Templar Commandery, went through the Scottish Rite all the way up to 32nd degree, and at that time, then I was considered worthy to get into what is called esoteric Freemasonry, which most American Masons don't even know exists. And in that organization, I was admitted into the Rite of Memphis Mitzrayim, and I went up to a 90th degree, which a lot of Masons, if they even hear that, they will, their false teeth will fall on their heads. But there are actually at least 97 degrees in the higher level esoteric rite.
Right. And were you surprised when you found that there were more than 33 degrees?
No, not really. See, here's how this works. When I went through the Masonic rituals, I had the spirit guides in my ear whispering things, telling me to do things, telling me to answer certain things in certain ways. Because I did that, I was identified by the leadership of the Grand Lodge of the state of Wisconsin that I was someone a little bit extraordinary. And see, that's one of the ways in which I ultimately got contacted by the Illuminati, is because the spirit guides had given me certain key things to say, key things to do, even gestures to make, stuff like that, that would identify me as being someone who was worthy of more light. You see, that's what they promise in all the Masonic degrees. They say, you get light, you get further light, you get more light. And of course, where does this light come from? Well, if you read the writings of the Masonic leaders, that comes from Lucifer.
And how many Masons know that?
Maybe 1 in 1,000, but most of them don't have a clue unless they bother to toddle upstairs and read the books that are in their own Masonic libraries, like I did.
How many Master Masons know that there are Satanists among them?
I'd say the same figure I quoted earlier, 1 in 1,000.
Right. Since Catholics are strictly forbidden to be Masons, why were you being asked to do two opposite things?
What people don't realize is that the Catholic Church helped start the Masons. And that, for example, the Scottish Rite, most of the degrees in the Scottish Rite were written by Jesuits. So even though there is this apparent antipathy between the Masons and the Catholics, to the point that up until John Paul II's reign, if you became a Mason, you were Roman Catholic, you were de facto excommunicated, just like that. But actually it's all a sham, because most of the high level of people in the Vatican are all Freemasons, and many of the people that are Freemasons are Catholics. It's like the old Hegelian idea, which he actually got from the Illuminati, of thesis, antithesis, synthesis. You have two opposing things, and they fight, and they come together, and they create and in this case, the idea would be to create a one-world religion out of these two opposites. The two things come together, and they merge. And that's actually happening right now before our very eyes. Because, for example, I don't know this, but I have serious reason to believe that the new Pope is in fact a Freemason. The old Pope who just died was a Freemason. The Pope before him was a Freemason.
How do you know
The Pope
that?
before him was not only a Freemason, but a Rosicrucian.
How do you know that?
Well, the Angelo Roncalli, who was John the 23rd, he was a member of a very high-level Rosicrucian Masonic order. There are records to that effect, and that's been documented in a book called The Broken Cross. I forget the author, but you can look it up on the internet, I'm sure. Paul VI, almost every one of those cardinals, those new cardinals, were Freemasons. Now, by inference, we can assume that he was probably a Freemason, but that's only circumstantial. When John Paul II was shot, he gave the Grand Masonic Hailing Sign of Distress.
Oh, okay.
Which is what Masons do when they're in dire straits. Also, John Paul II is the Pope who issued the bull, which is what, like a papal decree, it's called a papal bull, that basically removed the ban on Freemasonry.
Oh, okay.
Which is also somewhat telling.
Wow.
So the actual secret is that Masonry is a sex cult.
Wow.
And that's why they wear their apron over their Holy of Holies. Just like there's a veil in the Temple of Solomon that covers the holy place where the Ark of the Covenant is, well, this is the Holy of Holies of the Mason. That's why Masonic monuments are obelisks. Like Washington's monument, the largest obelisk in the world. He was a Freemason. It's a giant phallic symbol.
It's all there for everyone to see.
That is what the Masons mean by resurrection.
Wow.
If you go to a Masonic funeral, they talk about the sure and certain hope of the resurrection. That's not, they don't, when they say that word, they don't mean what all the nice, Christian people sitting in their chairs think they mean. They're talking about the fact that the phallus dies and then rises again.
Tehát a rendszer az alárendeltségre és a parancs végrehajtásra épül. Tehát ebből a rendszerből csak úgy tudunk kilépni, hogyha szellemi forradalmat csinálunk, és az állam felmondja a Biblia szerződését, mert a Biblia az egy szerződés az állam, az egyházak és a bankok között.
Népirtás. A népirtás vagy genocídium bizonyos bűncselekményeknek valamely nemzeti, etnikai, faji vagy vallási csoport teljes vagy részleges megsemmisítésének szándékával történő elkövetését jelenti. Minden népirtás, genocídium, tömeggyilkosság, megtervezett bűncselekmény.